Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something right now. The greatest battlefield is not out there in the streets. It's not in the boardroom. It's not even in your home. The greatest battlefield is in your mind. Because if the enemy can capture your mind, he doesn't need to chain your hands. If your thinking stays small, your living will stay small. If your mind is bound, your future will be bound. But I came here to tell you today, you've got the power to change your mind. You don't have to think the way you've always thought. You don't have to live in the same cycle of fear, failure, and frustration. You can break it, you can shift it, you can change it. The mind is the steering wheel of your destiny. Where your mind goes, your life will follow. If you keep telling yourself, I can't, I'm not enough, I'll never make it, then your life will bow down to that script. But the moment you rise up and say, wait a minute, I am more than this, I am greater than this, I was created with purpose, with destiny, with power, everything begins to shift. Change your mind and you change your atmosphere. Change your mind and you change your relationships. Change your mind and you change your future. Stop letting yesterday rent space in your head. Stop letting failure tell you who you are. Stop letting fear sit on the throne of your thoughts. Kick it out, evict it, throw it down, because as long as you allow wrong thinking to rule, you will never walk in the fullness of who you are. But when you make the decision not tomorrow, not next year, but right now to change your mind, to renew your thinking, to align your thoughts with your purpose, that is the moment your life begins to rise. Hear me, your future doesn't start with money, it doesn't start with connections, it doesn't start with opportunity. It starts with a decision, it starts with a shift, it starts in your mind. So today, I dare you. I dare you to stop agreeing with defeat. I dare you to stop rehearsing your pain. I dare you to start declaring over yourself, I am chosen, I am strong, I am capable, I am ready. Because the power to change your mind is the power to change your life. So go ahead, think higher, dream bigger, walk bolder, live freer. Your destiny is waiting. And it all starts in your mind. Your life will always move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. Your life will always move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If your thoughts are filled with fear, insecurity, and doubt, then no matter how much potential lies within you, you will walk as though you are powerless. Your mind becomes the compass of your destiny, pointing you either toward possibility or toward limitation. Every action you take, every habit you form, and every step you make is rooted in what you have already decided within your thoughts. That is why when your mind is small, your world feels small. When your mind is heavy with worry, your feet will drag through life. But when your mind is lifted with vision, when it is ignited by faith and expectation, your whole being starts to move in alignment with what you believe. You cannot outrun the direction of your thoughts. If you see yourself as a failure, life will keep handing you failures. If you believe you are not enough, you will keep shrinking back from opportunities that were designed to elevate you. On the other hand, if you think with resilience, if you declare that setbacks are setups for comebacks, then even when storms rage, you will find a way to stand tall. The secret is not in the storm, but in how your mind interprets it. Some people see storms as destruction. Others see them as the cleansing of old seasons and the birth of new growth. The difference is not in the event, but in the thought. Your dominant thoughts act like magnets. They draw people, resources, and circumstances into agreement with what you expect. If you constantly rehearse negativity, you will unconsciously seek it out. If you believe everyone is against you, your eyes will only notice those who reject you and ignore those who support you. But if you train your mind to believe there is purpose in every moment, then you will begin to notice opportunities where others only see obstacles. The mind is not just a place of imagination, it is the engine room of manifestation. What you allow to dominate in thought will eventually dominate in reality. That is why transformation never begins on the outside. Changing your clothes, changing your job, changing your address will mean nothing if you don't first change your mind. You can escape an environment but still be trapped by old thinking. You can step into a new season but carry the same limiting beliefs that sabotage your progress. Until you confront the narrative in your own head, you will circle around the same struggles, wondering why nothing shifts. But the moment you decide that your thoughts must come into alignment with vision, you ignite a force that begins to push your life into a different direction. Your dominant thoughts determine the quality of your relationships, the scale of your dreams, the depth of your resilience, and the courage of your decisions. When you think abundance, you begin to speak generously, and your generosity creates room for increase. When you think strength, you begin to act boldly, and bold actions open doors that timid thoughts would never approach. When you think purpose, distractions lose their grip on you, because your mind has locked onto something greater than temporary pleasure. The trajectory of your life is simply the echo of what you continually rehearse in your mind. You can't live a new life with an old mindset. You can't live a new life with an old mindset. A new season requires a new way of thinking, but too many people try to step into fresh opportunities, carrying the same beliefs that kept them bound in the past. You cannot step into freedom with the chains of yesterday's thinking wrapped around your mind. You cannot walk into abundance while holding onto scarcity in your thoughts. You cannot claim growth if your thinking is still rehearsing the language of limitation. The mind is the soil, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant old seeds, you will keep reaping old harvests, no matter how many times life tries to hand you something new. There are people who pray for change, who cry out for breakthrough, who long for transformation, yet when the opportunity comes, they sabotage it because their mind never shifted. They wanted a new result, but clung to old perspectives. A new life demands that you think differently about yourself, about your purpose, about what is possible. If you still see yourself as broken, unworthy, or incapable, then even when doors open, you will hesitate to walk through them. Your old mindset will whisper that you are not ready, not qualified, not deserving, and those whispers will keep you bound even in the presence of freedom. The old mindset is comfortable because it is familiar. It feels safe to hold onto what you've always believed, even if it limits you. But the danger of clinging to an old way of thinking is that it blinds you to the possibilities standing right in front of you. It causes you to interpret opportunities through the lens of fear instead of faith. You look at the same situation others see as possibility and convince yourself it is a trap. You look at an open door and call it a wall. You look at a chance for growth and label it as risk, not because it isn't real, but because your mind hasn't learned to see it differently. Living a new life requires training your thoughts to rise higher. It demands that you question the old patterns that no longer serve your destiny. If you once thought you were unworthy, you must replace that thought with the conviction that you were created with purpose. If you once believed life is nothing but struggle, you must reframe it as a journey of learning and building strength. If you once said, "I can't," you must teach your mind to say, "I can, I will, and I must." The new life cannot be sustained with the same mental framework that crumbled under the old one. Every transformation begins with a mental shift. A butterfly cannot emerge while thinking like a caterpillar. A conqueror cannot rise while thinking like a victim. A leader cannot step forward while thinking like a follower. You must first see yourself differently before you can live differently. The power of renewal is not in wishing for change, but in reshaping the thoughts that define who you are. Without this, new opportunities will slip away, and fresh beginnings will feel like old cycles repeating themselves. A new mindset is not optional for a new life. It is the very foundation upon which that life is built. Changing your mind is the first step to changing your future. Changing your mind is the first step to changing your future. Every great transformation begins not with the movement of your feet, but with the movement of your thoughts. The moment you decide to shift your thinking, you set in motion a chain reaction that begins to alter the course of your life. The decisions you make, the risks you take, the opportunities you embrace all flow from the thoughts you hold as truth in your mind. If you never allow your thoughts to change, your future will remain tied to your past. But when you dare to think differently, you begin to create space for a different outcome to emerge. So many people wait for their circumstances to change before they change their thinking. They say, if my situation improves, I'll start believing better. If I get the job, I'll think of myself as capable. If I get the relationship, I'll believe I am worthy of love. But that is the wrong order. The future does not change and then shape your thoughts. Your thoughts change first, and then they shape your future. You cannot wait for proof before you believe. You must believe before the proof arrives. It is the willingness to change your mind that unlocks the possibility of a new future. The future is not waiting for someone stronger, faster, or more talented. The future is waiting for someone willing to think differently about who they are and what they can become. There are people with great potential who never rise because their minds remain chained to old doubts. There are people with fewer resources, less talent, and smaller networks who soar because they dared to think in a new way. It is not the possession of gifts alone that determines destiny, but the possession of a renewed mind that knows how to use those gifts. Changing your mind requires courage because it means letting go of familiar thoughts that feel safe, even if they are destructive. It means silencing the voice that keeps reminding you of your past failures and daring to believe in a greater possibility. It means refusing to let the narrative of others define your identity and writing a new story in the chambers of your own mind. Every time you choose to replace fear with faith, doubt with determination, despair with hope, you are not just altering a thought. You are rewriting your future. The mind is the seedbed of destiny, and every new beginning is planted first in thought. A person who changes their mind about what they are capable of will begin to walk with a new posture, speak with a new confidence, and act with a new boldness. Those small shifts begin to compound, and suddenly opportunities appear, doors open, and connections align. What looks like coincidence is often the outworking of a changed mind attracting a changed future. The power to step into something greater is never outside your reach. It lives within the decision to think differently today so that tomorrow does not have to look like yesterday.